Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We are excited to introduce to you our newest solution for Australian payroll reconciliation in line with the Single Touch Payroll Requirement, STP. Today, our host and presenter Tony Vitelli from our SpinifexIT Australia team will be giving you a quick overview of STP and will show you how it works. Before we proceed, I'd like to just flash these reminders. Number one, we are on GoToWebinar. So if you're just dialing in and you're just in audio, we encourage you to use the app both for the mobile and the desktop viewer to see the slides as well. There will be some demonstrations that I am pretty sure you don't want to miss. If you have any questions, type it up in the questions box in both the web and mobile version of the app, and we will reach out to you separately for answers. If you have any additional questions after the session, please send them over to stp@spinifexit.com. Now, there will be some post webinar questions after this session, and we encourage you to let us know your thoughts. Now, without further ado, I'm calling in Tony Vitelli, who will give us an overview of ACSTP.
Hello, my name is Tony Vitelli, and I'd like to welcome you to our new SpinifexIT solution of Easy Single Touch Payroll. So what is Single Touch Payroll? And you've probably all heard it before. It's a new Australian government legislative requirement. It is the replacement of payment summaries as we know it today, and it's a requirement for a per pay period reporting directly to the Australian Taxation Office. It's a secure transmission to the tax office, and SAP, as a result of the legislative requirement, have built their own solution and delivered that, and is now made available to the customers. So, single touch payroll. So, what has SpinifexIT done? Spinifex has had their pilot transports of the STP installed in our development system, and we've been doing a number of testing of this solution over the previous few months. So our experience in payment summaries as a whole has been quite extensive. 15 years we've been looking at payment summary reconciliation and streamlining this process for the Australian market. We currently have an existing product called Easy Payment Summaries, and what we've done is looked at the comparison between the payment summaries and the single touch payroll, and there's a number of items that are very similar or comparable between the two, and as a result, we've made them also available. We've added some functionality as well, especially around the new requirements of the single touch payroll tables that are coming in. So, as far as single touch payroll, consistent that employee data, configuration, and override still form a fair part of what is required as far as data is concerned and to be considered. Payroll results, as you run pay, need to be updated, and there are a number of new cluster options in payroll results that gets created for the use of single touch payroll. Within single touch payroll also, SAP have delivered a number of solutions or programs, one of which is a generation program, which is done initially in test, at which point there's some validation and checking that you can achieve as a client or complete. Once that checking and reconciliation process is valid or finalized, a live STP file is generated, at which point there's a declaration process, and post that declaration, a file is transmitted via some sort of cloud integration. Each client will have the option of going down their own path, and that cloud integration gets forwarded to the Australian Taxation Office. So, is what we've done. And again, consistent with our easy payment summaries, we find that a lot of time generating files is straightforward. However, it's the checking of the data, whether it be prior or post the generation of files, is where time can definitely catch up. So we're doing a number of reports around the checking of employee data configuration and overrides. Once the data is completed and validated, payroll then do some payroll processing, at which point payroll tables updated, and that then leads us to what we can achieve, and that is read those tables, read those cluster tables, and do some analysis and reconciliation and validation in those areas. So reading and reporting, reconciling cluster information. So post that, the STP file itself is generated, at which time we've updated our solution or our easy STP solution to read the STP tables, which are new tables to the SAP environment. And again, validating and reporting that the STP data is correct is critical, because once it goes in via the declaration and integration process, that data is then transmitted. We also find that the reporting in general can be done, as well as we've introduced a number of employee query and data analysis products as well, all supporting the end-to-end process. There are some standard SAP delivery solutions, one of which is a conversion tool. Then there's as I indicated, a generating program, which is both done in test and in a active or live version. There's a declaration that needs to be done, and then a transmission. So that's the SAP delivery. And where we believe we can add a lot of value is, and not overriding what SAP have done, we're adding value around the migration process to single touch payroll in a lot of that verification area. Once migrating to STP, doing the validating and the checking of the migration, checking the go live in production, and the reconciliation and validation, and the ongoing reporting. And I said we also think adding value around employee questions and analysis. Prior to moving to single touch payroll, what we've identified is that if your data is in a very true and correct order right now, it makes the transition much more simpler. So single touch payroll does use a lot of the same data concepts as payment summaries. In fact, it just uses wage types as well. So even our existing solution of easy payment summaries is still a valid product to do those checks and balances around master data, around wage type configuration, even using easy payment summaries right now to do your reconciliation of payroll results so that you're confident that your data's right, your configuration is good, your payroll results are all in sync and are reconciling correctly, so that you know that you're in a good place to then transition over to the new configuration. Here's a snapshot of what we believe the migration process will probably look like for most clients, and it did for us as well, is that you'll already have a number of pay periods that you've processed for this financial year using the existing easy payment summary concept. Those pay periods need to be available because you need some active and live data to be able to copy into some sort of test system, at which point the support packs and the latest support packs that are a mandatory requirement for the single touch payroll solution is applied, and then there is a implementation process, and that implementation is that there is some configuration, a conversion of the cluster, the payroll cluster details, and once that conversion is updated, then ready to run the first pays, the new payrolls, running the STP solution, and then verifying the STP solution data. And it's in this concept of configuration, conversion, running of payroll results, the running of the STP files, and the verification that our new solution covers. So the configuration checks, we are able to do some wage type configuration and make them easily accessible to the users so they can quickly identify potential errors, show the ABN table for a user to quickly verify that the details are true and correct and updated. Even doing some configuration checks between payment summaries and single touch payroll, just to highlight any potential differences. Even reports that list wage types that are reporting to STP so you can get a better understanding of the new STP groupings. Here's a configuration snapshot of two reports that I just indicated. And I'll get into the system in a minute and show you. Further, the implementations during the conversion, ensuring balancing that the ACRT, which is a new payroll cluster table that's created because of the new support packs are comparable to the CRT and RT, which is the existing payroll clusters. Checking balances between payment summaries values and STP. Clients are potentially already doing reconciliations for payment summaries. What's that going to look like with the STP data? Are they comparable? Have you got some reconciliation items that you need to refer to? Even reporting the payment summary overrides, which is an object that you need to take in consideration because they're not going to be directly transferred to single touch payroll overrides. And there's some examples. I'll just jump into the system and show you the new solution. As I said, Easy Payment Summaries is our current solution for around payment summary reconciliation, and we believe they're still consistent to do those master data and wage type configuration checks that you may need, and employee master data checks, which is still consistent even for single touch payroll. However, Easy STP is our new solution, and we cover everything from conversion to configuration review, reconciliation of results, even analysis of wage type, and even statements that you can drill down into employee level. So some of those configuration items is evaluating and checking the changes even before you start running your first STP file or even your first payroll in the STP solution. Analyzing how the configuration is going between the evaluation class groupings that associate or wage type groupings associated with payment summaries as well as the single touch payroll. Quickly highlighting to the user, well, certain wage types seem to be consistent in their groupings between payment summary and single touch payroll. However, highlighting areas that need to be reviewed, either something missing as well. So what's actually happened to this wage type? Is it no longer required as part of the legislation? Or is it completely missing and that we need to have a look at? As I indicated, lots of clients would be already consistently doing or regularly doing payment summary reconciliation. So all that effort and good effort that the payroll and reconciling teams are doing shouldn't go to waste because we've got reports that do a comparison between the payment summary detail and the single touch payroll dollars which are associated with the new evaluation class, highlighting again issues at an employee level, whether it be gross, tax, or even lump sum payments. Potential highlighting during the migration and configuration, is there any items that need to be re-reviewed because the configuration's not quite right. Spoke about configuration. Reporting on the ABN details is critical, so we make it available. But even groupings, quickly showing to the team, to the payroll team and the end users that there are now a number of groupings that they need to become familiar with. Not only consistent ones with the payment summary process, but new ones like allowances, and having a report that quickly identifies the allowance group and all the individual allowances that have been configured. As I indicated, we're doing analysis on wage types and its configuration and determining whether the configuration is consistent in the way that that wage type has been set up, whether it's attracting to tax or linking to the single touch payroll or even attributing correctly, highlighting things like configured to go to single touch payroll, but no particular technical processing class available. Even wage types that are taxable but not being picked up in the single touch payroll configuration. So quick access to data that will add lots of value during the implementation. On an ongoing and once you're running some pays and single touch payroll, master data will be continually need to be checked. And we're having reports that you can actually drill down at master data and go directly and fix that information. And even checking mid-period transfers of ABN, because again, the change of ABN may be critical because the ABN is a critical table now to be reported. What we are finding and then what we identify is that payments made to employees need to be checked and declared and because these payments on a per period basis are going to be reported directly to the ATO. So having reports that quickly analyse the total gross components of a payroll results and compare that to the areas or wage types that are flagged for single touch payroll. So even identify wage types that are not flagged or incorrect, or even potentially having the incorrect accumulating process on in the year to date area, which is all critical. Once single touch payroll is run every period, the payments or the tables that get generated through this process, we've pre-built some reports that reconcile gross pay to the single touch payroll amounts, identify data, even drill down to individual employees with issues, drill down to wage type level to see if certain wage types have not been set up. We can drive reports that reconcile against the new cluster tables of ACRT and AETP to the STP tables, including the overrides, and there's a single touch payroll override table, and again reconciling down to employee or wage type level. On an ongoing basis, just for general reporting of the generated tables or generated files of data, we have reports that report on the STP overrides, general reports on the ER table, which is the employer results, as well as compared to the employee results. We have reports and letters detailing lump sum e-payments, and the reports can be run across ABNs. And this is some example. I'll just jump into the system. So a whole lot of reconciliation reports. I indicated the ability to report not only the existing cluster tables of RT and CRT, but also to run across the newly created cluster tables once payroll is run, the ACRT, and having the ability to quickly highlight variances, whether it be between the standard RT and CRT tables and highlighting variances, or even the newly created ACRT table and doing comparison and being able to still drill down right down to employee level and still having the ability to even drill down at wage type level to determining which wage types are causing issues. And if new tables like the ACRT is not updated, is it because of the migration process or the payroll process has errored for that employee? Having the ability, once the STP files are generated, having the ability to do reconciliations at payroll result level, but also the single touch payroll file level, and identifying the potential that is there any issues that we need to cover, and having the ability again to drill down to employee level to identify the wage types, having the ability to isolate data that's coming from the payroll results versus the data that's coming from the STP table, the generated file table, and determining, well, there's an error there. Should we be doing a correction even before we transmit it? A number of reports associated with general analysis of wage types and lump sum e-payments. On an ongoing basis, of course, it's not all about just reconciling. We appreciate that the part of the legislative change is that the Australian government is also recommending that all employees open up a MyGov account if they don't already have one, and that MyGov account will include the data that is transmitted by the employer on a per period basis, and that they, as an individual employee, can read and have a look at that data. On an employer perspective, there may be times when the employer needs to also address any inquiries that come out from the employee. So we've delivered a number of reports and documents associated with analysing the employee STP data and presenting it in a document that can be easily explained to the employee. Documents at a high level just showing you totals that can be represented. Documents that can drill down to a wage type level, so they get a better understanding of the individual components that made up that value, which the employee is seeing at a high level in their MyGov account. So in summary, the Easy STP solution is our new solution. It covers a number of the gaps that we believe that we can add value in the area of not only understanding the migration of single touch payroll, but assisting in the validation during that migration, validating those figures that are submitted to the Australian Taxation Office on a per period basis, being able to report on multiple payroll areas at once, understanding the values are correct and analysis of data, and of course, answering those employee queries that may come up now a bit more regularly because the data will be available for the employee in their MyGov account on a per period basis. And our solutions have been updated to make available the reading of new cluster tables, but more importantly, the new STP tables that are going to be used for that transmission file. So those and quick access to that data set. So thank you very much for today. I hope you found the overview rewarding and appreciate it. If there's any questions that come out, please see your SpinifexIT account executive or account manager, and they can provide some more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. We're still accepting questions after this session. Simply email us your inquiries and requests, and one of our team members will reach out to you the soonest. Now, some of our customers who joined our recently concluded customer days and user group meetings are about to implement ECSTP this January. If you're one of them and you'd need further assistance, shoot us an email. Have a great day ahead.